I, CMLA Day, on behalf of the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee ICI, welcome all the participants in today's webcast on Lead with Clarity, Enhance Relational Intelligence through Mindful Practices. A very good afternoon to everyone. I welcome to today's resource person CA
Lee, you're
Sandeep.
not visible at all. Just
Um,
check your video. Yeah, आपका वीडियो बंद हो गया था. Sorry for interrupting.
okay, no
Yeah.
issues. Am I visible now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Sorry. I welcome to today's resource person CA Sandeep Gupta and others present over here. Now, let me introduce our speaker for today, CA Sandeep Amar Gupta, a human potential, a leadership presence strategist, global speaker, and creator of the SHE framework. With over 40 years of experience guiding leaders, professionals, and organizations, CA Sandeep Gupta brings a rare blend of wisdom, strategy, and presence. He is best known for his groundbreaking work in human excellence, leadership presence, and sustainable success. Work that connects the inner world of purpose with the outer world of strategy. At the heart of his work lies the SHE framework, a transformative system that integrates spiritual dynamics, human potential, and economic strategies to help leaders and business build futures where spirituality and profitability flourish together. He has spoken on prestigious global platforms, including Oxford University, the Science of Consciousness Conference, and ISUD, and has partnered with corporates, leadership forums, and associations across the world to help them break growth barriers and thrive holistically. CA Sandeep Gupta is known for making the complex simple and for inspiring action that is not just smart but also deeply human. His thought leadership has earned him multiple recognitions, including the India Achievers Award 2023 and the President's Award 2024 by the Professional Speakers Association of India. A chartered accountant with a postgraduate degree in theology and certified in interpersonal neurobiology, design thinking, appreciative inquiry, and more. C.A. Sandeep Gupta's work is a confluence of head, heart, and higher purpose. He has taught strategic management at BITS Pilani, theology at DEI, and authored a neuro leadership course for Ubiquio Business School, USA. Currently on the board of PSAI and a member of the International Advisory Committee of ME2 Connect Dubai, C.A. Sandeep Gupta lives in New Delhi with his wife, continuing his mission to help individuals and organizations grow with clarity, consciousness, and purpose. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Millie. And a big namaste to everyone. Guys, I'm back. And whenever I come back on this platform, I'm always very excited. Before starting, let me share a small story with you. When I became a chartered accountant way back in 79, so I asked myself, why have I become a chartered accountant? Because statutory audit, taxation were interesting, but I wanted to do something else. And then I got into management consultancy. Along with the traditional practice, that time there was a lot of confusion. Clarity was low. Social media was not there. Internet was not there. And I'm sure, and it took me quite a few years, to do what I really love doing. And I'm sure among the audience, there might be quite a few of you who want to do something additional, who want to do something more than a CA practice. And yes, today, the Institute is working and opening up a number of avenues for you where you could, really work professionally in the area of your qualification at the same time in the area where your heart takes you. Now, to decide the area where your heart takes you, what is needed? It is clarity, it is rational intelligence, and being mindful. And in this background, today we'll be talking of lead with clarity, enhance relational intelligence with mindful practices. Let me, share a small story with you to start with. There was a Zen master. One person went to him and said, Master, give me the formula of peace and clarity. So the Zen master looked at the person. There was a cup, a saucer, and a pot full of tea in front of the Zen master. The Zen master picked up the teapot and started pouring the tea in the cup. Initially, it was fine. Then the cup got full, and then the cup started overflowing. Seeing this, that the Zen master had not stopped, even when the cup was overflowing, this man couldn't hold himself back, said, Master, the cup is overflowing. Do you know what the Zen master said? He said, This is exactly what I wanted to tell you and demonstrate to you, that if your heart and mind are full, there's no space for fresh ideas, fresh love, fresh innovation to come in, fresh inspiration to come in, fresh relationships to come in. You will be stuck. And that is it's very symbolic of clarity also. We all agree that we need clarity to be successful, to do something. But in today's world, in the world of social media, in the world of knowledge implosion, in the world of uh, information overload, we are so full that there is no space inside us. So clarity starts with creating that space. Now, if that space is not created, what will happen? Our attention, which is the requirement, which is the tool which helps us to be present in the moment, which helps us to absorb, get new knowledge, give new information, develop new relationships. Uh, and this knowledge and information gives us new opportunities. Then we act on them, we succeed, we make our dreams come true. That attention, which is the core, gets distracted, gets distributed. Now you are in this, let's call it a workshop or this session. Physically, yes, you are. But in case mentally you are not here, you are in your office, or you are somewhere else. You are touring, you are in a hospital, or some in on a joyride, on a motorcycle, or in Goa enjoying the sun. Will you gain anything? No. That is the importance of mindfulness. Relational intelligence is awareness. You cannot be mindful unless you become aware. And unless you are mindful and become aware, you do not get clarity. So now, let's focus on clarity for some time. And though, we cannot interact, but still, let's try and make the best of it. I'll be giving you questions, reflect on them, write it down, and we keep going forward. I would like you to introspect as we keep going forward. So, my first question is, what is the opposite of clarity? What comes to your mind? I'm sure confusion, chaos, overthinking, all these things would be coming to your mind. But are they the real obstacle or the real opposite of clarity? Go deeper. And if you go deeper, you'll find it is assumption. Don't we assume a lot of things without investigating? Yes, we do. And if we do, so now I invite you to close your eyes and I give you 30 seconds and imagine when was the last time when you thought it is absolutely true and you cannot be wrong, and ultimately you found that whatever you had in your mind or whatever you thought was correct was not correct. It was either factually wrong or your assumption was wrong. There was a mistake. It was far from reality. Just dive deep into yourself for 30 seconds and identify that one episode which has happened in the recent times where you assume that you know it, but the fact is you did not know it. You assume that you are correct, but the fact is you were not correct. You thought that you have hit the nail on the head, but the truth is you had missed the nail. I give you 30 seconds, just reflect on it. Clarity is not luck, clarity is not automatic. Clarity is the leadership of the mind. You have two options: either you lead the mind or the mind leads you. I'm sure you must have heard that the mind is a double edged sword. When used properly, it creates for you. When not used properly, it destroys you. Even in Gita, it is said that the person who has control over his mind, who has conquered his mind, is the biggest conqueror. So, leadership of the mind, and believe me, mind is trainable. And when we come to the mindfulness dimension, I will give you the tools. How can you train your mind and how your mind gets trained? So, in today's conversation, what we are going to see is that how to lead with clarity, how to build relational intelligence, and how mindfulness will make you more effective, peaceful, and impactful all at once. Numerically, or in a practical sense, we could put the formula of clarity in a mathematic in the in an equation format. There are three aspects to it. One is intentionality. You should have the intention to do anything. Can you do anything without any intention? When do you eat food? When you feel hungry, and then there's an intention that you are hungry and you got to eat food. So number one is intentionality. Number two is how present you are in the moment. Doesn't it happen to all of us? We are in a meeting with a client and all of a sudden we get distracted, some other thoughts come to us. We are at home talking to our family members, and all of a sudden we remember, we pass it off, saying, "Oh, I just remembered." The fact is, you got distracted. You were not in the moment. And the third is alignment. Now, out of these three factors, if anyone is in the deficit, then your clarity of the subject, clarity of the event, clarity of the knowledge, clarity of the situation, relationships, everything gets impacted. This equation mirrors the interdependence of purpose, presence, and practice. Purpose. Can you go to the airport and say, "Hey, give me a ticket, I want to fly"? What would the girl or the boy on the counter say, "Sir, ma'am, where do you want to go?" You say, "I want to fly." He says, "Sir, but there has to be a destination. We have flights all over, in India and abroad." "No, I want to fly." Your purpose was not clear. So what would that girl on the counter say? "Security, please ask ma'am or sir to step aside. Let him or her decide where does he or she wants to go. And in the meantime, let me attend to the other customers." So that is the purpose part, presence. If you are at the airport, you have the boarding card, and you are not present there mentally. The flight has boarded, your name is being announced. Then Mr. ABC, Miss ABC, please board, please board, please board. It happens on the airports. But since you're mentally not there, you're somewhere else, what happens? Your luggage is in the flight, you have the boarding card, still the flight leaves without you because you were not there. So, presence and practice, taking this thing forward. Unless you get up and walk to the plane, that is action, you put it into practice, you will not board the flight and go. So, this formula which I just gave you, intentionality, mindfulness, and alignment. Alignment of what? Your purpose, your presence, and your practice. Mindfulness, being present so that you are clear of your purpose and you take action. Intentionality, what do you want to achieve? When these three things are together, then clarity starts developing. Now, if I look at it, or you look at it from the brain science angle, what is happening today? There is so much noise all around us, social media noise. 74 gigabyte of information is absorbed by a brain every day. 74 gigabyte. Now, that is a huge, huge thing. It creates so much noise. And you are not present. Obviously, there'll be no clarity because you'll be pulled in different directions. So let's say there is a noise and there's a signal. So now the purpose and practice sends you a signal that this is your purpose, you've got to do something. And at the same time, there's a lot of noise inside your brain, you know. So now, and since the noise is 74 gigabyte, that's huge, and your purpose is small, what happens? If the purpose is higher than the noise, if the purpose is has more strength than the noise, then you move forward and achieve. If the noise drowns your purpose, that is the signal. So the signal, which is the purpose, if the signal is stronger than the noise, you move ahead, you achieve. And if the noise is stronger than the signal gets drowned, you lose clarity, you do not move forward. And what is the relationship between the two? Signal means truth, awareness, purpose. What is the truth? You're aware of it. Purpose, all these things work together. That is the signal. And what's the influence? It increases clarity. Noise means emotions. We should do it, we should not do it. So and so is a crooked person, right? Or your ego. How can I do it? Or the confusion. Should I not? Should I not? Decreases the clarity quotient. Now, I have named six factors: truth, awareness, purpose. You can look into yourself and decide how much reality do you know, or any decision you took. How much was assumption? How much was on investigation? How much were you aware of the total facts and circumstances, the environment in which the decision was taken? How much were you purposeful? How much were you governed by your emotions? How much by your ego and how much by your confusion? So, for gaining higher clarity, we can work or we need to work on the truth. That is understanding the reality of the situation. Awareness, becoming aware of the total reality. And purpose. Why are we doing it? And on the other hand, we also work on the emotions, ego, and confusion and try to keep them check. So when we increase one aspect, that is the signal, and decrease the noise, what happens? Clarity comes in, success comes in. And the ratio is signal is the perception part, right? Signal is the perception part, and the noise is the discernment part. So the integration of perception and discernment, discernment defines effectiveness. Sorry, I might be coughing because Delhi has got a lot of pollution, and pollution impacts my throat, and that also impacts my speaking. And from the leadership point of view, we all are leaders. We lead in the office. We are also leaders at home. From the leadership point of view, though I would like to say one thing, in 45 years, I have observed the chartered accountants, right? So I'm one, I've been living in this world. Chartered accountants usually build silos around themselves and they just focus on what they're doing. Could be the audit, could be the consultancy, could be, and they cut themselves off from the outer world. But let me tell you one thing. In today's world, to survive, to remain relevant, and to be successful, if you have created the silos, you got to break them. You got to break them and you got to look at things on a much, much larger scale. And to give you an example, a person is standing on the ground floor. His vision would be restricted by the boundary. The moment the person goes to the second floor, the vision increases. He can see further. The moment the person goes on the sixth floor, he can see still further. And the moment the person reaches the 10th floor, he can see the entire thing. Which person has got a better clarity? Which person has got a better chance of success? And which person is usually more successful? The person on the ground floor or the person above him or her? It's obviously people who have a larger sense of reality, who know much more than the person below them. So we chartered accountants, in today's world where things are changing so fast, we need to keep on going up and up and up and up in the environment, in the scope of reality, and then use our skills. Believe me, the world would change. Now, for that thing, and that will make you a leader. That will make you a global leader. And for a leader, because we are leading 24 by 7, whether you're in your office or in society or in board meetings or in your profession, if you're in service or in your service or at home, we are leading constantly. And what is that equation? C, that is, clarity is equal to truthful awareness plus purpose alignment. On a scale of 10, give yourself marks. How much are you truthfully aware of situations or were aware of situations? It could be in general, or it could also be for a particular event. And was your purpose aligned with your thoughts and actions? Give yourself marks. Now, this becomes the numerator. What is the denominator? Emotional reactivity. Because decisions, majority of the decisions are taken emotionally. Even to accept a client or not, there's an element of emotion involved in that. Plus distractions, plus doubt. No one talks of doubt, but doubt is a very, very big thing. So, emotional reactivity plus distraction plus doubt, these three put together become the denominator. So, when the numerator, which is truthful awareness plus purpose alignment, is divided by the denominator, which is emotional reactivity plus distraction plus doubt, and the result is less than 1, it's a sure indication that your success probability is much, much low. If it is 1, then it is 50-50. So it has to be more than 1.5. Then it becomes 60%. And in case it's 2, then it is 99%. Because I believe there's nothing 100% or 1%. There's always scope of 1% on either side, for things to go wrong, for things not to go your way. So this is again a beautiful, simple method of introspecting about the clarity factor. And in this formula, I have also given the factors on which you got to work. That is truth awareness. You got to be aware. Alignment, whether your purpose, thoughts, and actions are aligned. You got to increase this factor. And emotional reactivity, distractions, and doubt, you got to reduce them. And more the gap increases, higher becomes the clarity and higher becomes the chances for you to succeed. So much for the clarity at the moment. Now let's move forward. Relational intelligence. Now, what is relational intelligence? Relational quotient, which is a factor of intelligence, is your ability to understand, influence, and nurture relationships consciously. Do you think you can get anything or achieve anything without a relationship? No, you cannot. There has to be a relationship, even for buying, say, for people in Bombay, the vada pav. You might not know the person, or you're going to a cafe or drink a coffee. But for that moment, when you order and the person gives you the bhel puri or the coffee, or you are buying a shirt or a dress in a mall, or buying a ticket to travel, for that limited period, a relationship happens. And if you misbehave, you do not connect, then what do you get in return? Dissatisfaction, a nasty glare, the person could be rude, and there's every likelihood the coffee chap might say, sorry, we don't serve. You can just get up and go, and this happens. Or the Bhelpuri chap says, thank you, ma'am, thank you, sir, आपको नहीं देने का. You can't do anything. That relationship is so important. And in today's connected world, where everything is connected, and look at us, we are at present from all over India, I presume, right? And still we are connected. What I'm saying is reaching you that very instant. So and I'm sure if there are people from overseas, it's reaching them also. So the boundaries, the physical boundaries and the social boundaries all have been demolished today because of the skyway. We are intimately connected. Therefore, in a connected world, our success doesn't depend on how many people will know. It depends on how deeply you connect. You might know 1,000 people, you might have 20,000, 1 million, 10 million followers on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, but your success does not depend on them. Your success depends on that one person right next to your house with whom you're deeply connected, and that person is prepared to stand thick and thin with you in every circumstance of your life. Now, let me share Google's project, on this aspect. It was called Aristotle. Now, Google is a big company. It's got n number of teams, a large number of teams. They did a small research in their own organization. They studied 180 teams, 180 teams, to find out what was making them succeed. A brilliant idea. And they expected that, okay, we'll get IQ, technical skills, leadership styles, etc., etc. as the answer. But to their surprise, do you know what they found? They found psychological safety as the most important factors. And these teams who were successful had developed a culture to make every team member feel psychologically safe. Now, when I say psychologically safe, what I mean is the team member is feeling involved, is not feeling left out and isolated. The team member is saying that, okay, since I'm working for the interest of the organization, if I observe something, I can mouth it. People will listen to me. They will not judge me. And this applies to our offices. We have article clerks, we have paid employees, we have chartered accountants working with us. Even we have teams. We say, okay, you are the management consultancy team, you are the audit team, you are the internal audit team, and you are the GST team, and you are this team and that team. How do we manage them so that the best quality of work goes out from our office? Clients are satisfied. Clients become our ambassadors, and as ambassadors, they refer us because you might spend crores and crores on advertising, but the kind of response you get from referral, is unimaginable and cannot, be overtaken by money and ads in the media. So now coming back to the psychological factor. Psychological safety factor means people feeling safe to share ideas, take risks. Because if there's a new idea and if the person fails and you land up scolding the person or firing the person, I think the person would be very stupid to take a chance to lose his or her job or be insulted. So therefore, take risk and fail. Now, this is very important. And fail without judgment, without being judged or assessed. Okay, everyone fails. Now, this is relational intelligence in action. And the concept is very simple. IQ, to which we give so much importance. IQ, there was a time when, IQ was 100%, emotional quotient was not considered at all. Then came a time when the hirers, society started saying IQ is 80%. In success, the role of IQ is 80% and of emotional intelligence or spiritual intelligence only 20%. And do you know today it has been reversed. The role of emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence is said to be 80% and of IQ only 20%. Let me ask you a simple question. In case you don't know how to connect, you don't know how to behave, you are rude, courteous, you are self-centered, you might be the best brain. Will your practice really flourish? Will you be able to achieve anything and whatever you want to achieve in life? Personally, I doubt. Because you are not the only service provider. They are people equally intelligent out there in the market. IQ can get you into the room. Oh, he or she has got a gold medal, brilliant, has got a medal, brilliant, is so qualified, brilliant. But that is not sufficient to connect with people. You need EQ to remain connected. And when your EQ is high, when I say high, I don't mean your IQ is low. What I mean is more importance is given to the EQ. Both are needed for success, for flourishment, for thriving. Then the RQ, relational quotient, develops, and it is relational quotient which helps everyone to grow together. Now, let me give you a real life example. In Professional Speakers Association of India, every year we hold an international event called Professional Speakers Summit. For the summit of 24, I was the chair. In the summit of 23, something drastically wrong had happened. People were not happy. Members had got somewhat disconnected. So there was a financial loss. So when it came to me in 24, I was under a lot of stress because I wanted to make sure it's of the world class because we invite speakers from the world over. Number two, I wanted to make sure that there's no financial loss. And number three, I wanted to connect all the members of PSAI and feel it is their event. It took a lot of time. The factors which I've been talking about, I worked on them. The purpose was clear. Purpose, thoughts, and actions were aligned. I was looking at the larger picture, joining the dots, because events in life are never linear. every event is interconnected with other sub-events, and it creates a ripple. And then the sub-event becomes the main event, depending on the previous action. And another set of ripples are created and released. At the end of the day, the event was successful. We made some money out of it. People were very happy. What was that one thing which allowed me to create success? I'm not saying be successful. I'm saying allowed me to create success. That was relational quotient. As the chair, I said, guys, come, let's work together. If anything goes wrong, I take the blame. Whatever goes right, you take the credit. When people came up with suggestions, I heard them. I knew they'll not work. Still, I allowed them to go ahead and experience. In 24, we were 150 members in the association. And when the certificates of participation in curating the event, not attendance was around 200. 58 people came on stage, which means around 40% of the association was involved in curating the event, working together to make it a success. And this could happen only because of the high relational quotient that had developed within the organization, that is Professional Speakers Association. So like I said, IQ gets IQ gets you into the room. EQ keeps you connected. And RQ helps everyone to grow together. Now, let me give another very good example of RQ. Now, why am I stressing so much? Because this is one thing which has gone out of our life. We have forgotten to relate. Our relationship with our smartphone, our relationship with Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram is much more than with our friends and family members. There's a chap called Professor Raj Sisodia. He was with Wharton University. He did a very interesting research. What he did was he, analyzed the global companies and identified 60 companies which used love, LOVE, pyar, as the central pivot around which their business strategies were framed. From India, two groups got qualified. One was the Tatas, and the other is the Mahindras. And then there were the others from America, Europe, Japan, everywhere. And then he compared their growth performance. Can you guess what were the results? These 60 companies, which had love, mutuality, relational intelligence as the central pivot of their business strategies. These companies outgrew S&P 500 average by 10x to 15x over a period of 1998 to 2013. While the S&P 500 companies grew by 116% in this period, these 60 companies grew by 1,166%. So that is the power of relational intelligence. And it is not difficult to go by it, to employ it, to absorb it, or to make it a part of your thought process DNA so that your organization, whether you're serving or running your own organization, flourishes and it also impacts your personal life positively. Now, what is the science behind this thing? When Princeton University, what they did was called the coupling experiment. They got two people to speak to each other mindfully, and another set of people not to speak to each other mindfully. So one cohort was speaking mindfully, the other was not speaking mindfully. And what did they observe? They observed that the people who were speaking mindfully, their brain waves synchronized. They got each other on the similar frequency, and when they got each other on the similar frequency, a larger force of relationality got established. And, and on the other hand, since they were not speaking mindfully, the element of mistrust, the element of distraction was much more. As a result, the synchronization was lost. As a family, when you act together, the husband, the wife, the children, parents, relations, all of you act together. You're synchronized in your purpose, thoughts, and action. What happens? Everything becomes very easy. There's happiness, there's love, there's mutuality. People are prepared to stand by each other. No one is crying, everyone is laughing. And now assume there is there's no synchronicity, there's no common factor. They are not synchronized. Everyone is going their own way. What happens? There's chaos, there's confusion. People are fighting with each other. Opportunities are going away. Someone is having a heart attack. Someone is getting a headache. Medical bills are going up. So the choice is yours. Because now, again, I invite you to reflect. Think of one professional relationship that drains your energy. A number of times there are certain clients or there are certain relations or certain friends or certain people. You say it's better they don't come because, after sitting with them for half an hour or 1 hour, I get exhausted. They exhaust me. And then, first think of that person, the incident, when you felt exhausted. And then I invite you to analyze that. Why did you get exhausted? Or what exhausts you? Is it the understanding between the both of you? It is the lack of empathy, seeing eye to eye. It is the boundaries where you want to say no, you cannot say no. Or it is trust. Whatever comes to your mind, that one word, which is the most prominent thing. Now imagine if you had led that meeting with awareness instead of assumption. Would you have got exhausted? Awareness would have meant I lack trust. I don't trust that person, or I don't understand him. The moment you flag it, the moment you put your finger on that missing link, on the assumed thing which you have not, of which you are not aware, what happens? In our brain, there are two centers, the emotional brain and the prefrontal cortex. The moment you heard that the person is coming to meet you, your emotional brain took over. It went and looked into the past experiences and said, no, this guy is very exhausting. And you believed it and you reacted that way. But now, since you have become aware that you get exhausted because you don't trust that person, so you got to be on guard much more. What happens? The moment you put your finger on this factor, the emotional brain takes a back seat. The message comes to your prefrontal cortex, that is your executive brain. And then you start thinking of the ways and means. If you do not trust that person, okay, then your brain, and you have put your finger on it, then your brain would start working. Prefrontal cortex, the decision-making brain, would start working on, okay, I don't trust this guy. Fair enough. But what should I do? When he or she says this thing, should I believe or not believe? Or if they propose a collaboration or something, or some a joint event, what should my answer be? That you are prepared for that situation and the relationship improves. Like Simon says, leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is not about being in charge, which means leadership is not about sitting on a chair and people coming and saluting you. It's about taking care of the people who are in your charge, which means relating to your teams, taking care of them, establishing that bond with them, and increasing the relational intelligence, relational quotient. And relational intelligence works or starts, from where? It begins from where ego ends. For this thing, you got to look beyond yourself. Why go far? Look at your family. Don't you a number of times you look beyond yourself and accommodate the other person? Had you failed at that point of time to look beyond yourself and accommodate, what would have happened? You can just imagine. Now, the third factor is all about mindfulness. We have talked about clarity. I've given you certain formulas. What factors are involved, what you can do to improve clarity. We have talked of relational intelligence, its importance. Now, let's get down to mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Today, everyone is saying mindful. There's a big, big buzz, you see, and it's become a fad to talk about mindfulness. You see, people are forgetting without being mindful, anyone would not be where they are at the moment. Mindfulness only means recognizing the present moment. Mindfulness only means recognizing the present moment and training your attention to be there. I, usually I give this example. It's not a, it's a very simple example. All of us go to the washroom. We need to attend to the nature's call. And when you go to the washroom and you are not mindful of the settings of the washroom, what will happen to the washroom? Just imagine. When you go to the washroom, you say, okay, here is the pot, here is the cistern, here is the wash basin, here is the soap. You bring your attention there and you use the washroom the way it should be used. If your attention was not there, then we would use the washroom in the most uncivilized manner. You are going for a board meeting. If you're not mindful about the board meeting that you got to go there, if you're not mindful about the kind of dress required, you might just land up there in your night suit. So, mindfulness is being aware of the requirement of the present moment and taking decisions to help you to achieve your goal. Now, when you get up in the morning, and it's very cold, if you're not mindful where you kept your chappals, or you got to wear chappals, otherwise you might catch a chill, and you just start going around the house without chappals, what's going to happen? You're going to fall sick. If you're not mindful while walking on the road, what will happen? Some car will come and knock you down. So, mindfulness is the basic energy or the tool which makes us act without being present in the moment. When our present in the moment means bringing your attention to that moment. Without bringing your attention to that moment, you cannot achieve anything. And why did I expand or say elaborate on this thing so much with so many examples? For the simple reason. Harvard research says, and this is a reality also, and I'm sure you'll be able to associate yourself with it, that 47% time, actually it's 47.9%, 47% time, our attention is not in our body. So we might be physically present somewhere, but mentally absent. And body takes instructions from the mind. A simple thing. Imagine you are in one of your favorite places because for the brain, imagination and reality are the same. Imagination and reality are the same for the brain. Imagine you are in one of your favorite places and you're thrilled to be there. You're absorbed. Your eyes are closed and it's become reality for you. What is that one word which you listen maximum or hear maximum? That is your name. In a state where your mind is there, your body is here, you can't even write your name, or you can't even pronounce your name or say your name without bringing your attention back. And the nature of the mind is such, like four friends are sitting, music is going on, they're dancing, partying, they're very happy. All of a sudden, news comes that another friend has met with an accident. What happens? The same music, you stop enjoying it. You don't feel like dancing. You get on a different track. Let's rush to the hospital and see what What is the condition of the person? What you were enjoying earlier, the same thing starts irritating you, starts making you angry. That is the power of attention. And I'll give you tips, how you can train your attention, because training your attention to be with you is, and if you're able to do that, I promise you, 60% you have written your success story. 60%. And the other things we'll build on that. I would request you to stretch your hand this way, straight in front of you. Close your eyes and just follow my commands. Hope people, you have stretched your hands like this in front of you without any support. Your eyes are closed and you are focusing on listening to me. I am putting a small marble, a small glass marble on your palm. Your job is to feel the marble, feel the weight, feel the coldness of the marble, the smoothness of the surface. Eyes closed. Now I pick up the marble and replace it with your mobile phone. Feel the body of the mobile phone, feel the size. Eyes are closed, you are feeling the weight. I pick up the mobile phone and now I put a weight of 5 kilos on your palm. 5 kilos weight. Okay, I pick up the weight, also open your eyes. What did you experience? What did you experience? When I put the mobile phone, the weight increased on your palm, and when I put the 5 kilos, didn't your palm started going down because of the weight? And this was all imagination. This was not reality. This is the power of attention. On whatever thing it falls, on whatever thing it falls, it absorbs it and it starts expanding. The 5 kilos weight initially must have been, okay, 5 kilos. Your hand must be going down, and if you're trying to keep it up, the pressure would be expanding from 5 kilos. You might be feeling as if there's a 10 kilo weight, then there's a 15 kilo weight, and ultimately the hand would go down dhara. Now, how do you train your attention? And science has established that attention is trainable. Like you go to a gym to build your body, to shed your fat. Similarly, in your mental gym, you can train your attention. Now, since for the brain, imagination and reality are the same, it does not distinguish between whether you are imagining or there's reality in front of you. Now, can you understand why assumption, with which I started off in the beginning, is the opposite of clarity? Because assumption has got no relevance to clarity on the no relevance to reality. And on the other hand, clarity has got everything to do with reality. Okay, now let me give you the tool by which you can train your attention. I'll give you a couple of tools which will help you to train your attention. And believe me, if you do them religiously, without fail, you will start seeing an improvement. You will start seeing an improvement in your attention, in your focus, concentration, and response mechanism. Because mindfulness, when practiced right, it also takes you away from reactivity to responsiveness. All you got to do is sit straight in any comfortable position, but straight. You got to close your eyes and bring your focus, your attention, either to your nostrils. Okay, bring it to your nostrils, and for 5 minutes, just feel the sensation of the air going inside you and the air coming from inside out of you. Just feel the sensation on your nostrils of the in breath and the out breath, of the in breath and the out breath. Now, what is going to happen? After a couple of seconds, you will start feeling as if you're already there for half an hour doing this thing for half an hour. A lot of thoughts will start coming in. You'll be distracted. All you got to do is, the moment you realize you have got distracted, bring your attention back, bring your focus back to your nostrils and just continue. And this bringing back process has to be done with all love, without criticizing yourself, without blaming yourself, without judging yourself. Initially, it would be tough. Initially, it would be tough. But slowly and gradually, you will get used to it. And then, as you progress on holding your attention, what will happen? Because what are you doing now? You are sending a signal to your brain that, look, Mr. Brain, I control you, you do not control me. Because attention is the carrier of information to the brain. So once you start controlling your attention, taking the reins of attention in your hand, automatically the brain learns, new neural pathways are created, and your brain learns to wait for your decisions, learns to not to stop the prefrontal cortex, because then you get time to become aware of what's happening inside you and outside you. So this is the method number one. Number two, if you want, you can write it down, and you could do it anywhere. Now, say you are in a meeting and you are feeling nervous, your attention is everywhere. What you could do? Wriggle your toes under the table. Obviously, your feet are under the table. Wriggle your toes, shift like this a little bit. Do this with your fingers. Any body movement which happens, immediately brings back the attention to the body, and then hold on to it. Number three, what you could do is, sitting in a room, you see, information goes to us through the five senses we have. And attention also functions primarily through the five senses. I'm not going I'm not getting into the metaphysical domain. I'm just restricting myself to the physical domain through the five senses. So while sitting, just see five things which you usually don't see. It could be an insect on the wall, a hole on the wall, or a crack on the wall, something like this. Feel four things which usually you don't feel. Sitting on the chair, how is your back feeling against the backrest? Your feet on the floor, your hands touching your shirt, your elbows touching the table. Four things. Hear three sounds in the room which you usually don't hear. Try to smell two smells in the room and one taste in your mouth. And believe me, just imagine an ice cream which you love. The taste comes to your mouth because your buds are associated with that reaction of eating that experience of eating that ice cream, which is stored in your mind. And since the brain does not distinguish between reality and imagination, the signal is that you are having the ice cream. And this is the reason your mouth starts watering. And another way to understand the working of the mind. Now, let me clarify one thing over here. There's a big controversy created, especially in the West. In India, we believe that mind is superior, is a field of energy which is superior to the brain. Brain is physical. But in the West, they believe that mind is a product of the brain. I do not subscribe to that because everything is energy. Energy cannot be created. So I'm looking at the Indian view. Now, the mind. You know, a small experiment, really demonstrates the way our mind works. Take a glass of water, put salt into it, or say put some mud into it. Stir it fast. The entire glass would become muddy. That is normally the condition of our mind. By mindful practice, what happens? You're taming the mind. Taming attention, so mind is getting tamed. Over a period of time, you'll find that the mud which you had put in the glass starts settling and clarity starts emerging on the top side of the glass. Water starts becoming clearer. So when we practice mindfulness, this is what happens to our mind. We create space for the mind to take new inputs, process them, forward them to the brain so that they get translated into actions. And let me give you one more thing, which is very simple. We all have food. In India, having a roti is very common, or having a dosa is very common. Just eat one roti or one dosa or one item every time you sit down for meals, as if it is the last meal of your life. After this, you will never get it. Eat it with all your five senses. Believe me. Number one, it'll satisfy you brilliantly. You will get the original taste of that food item. Satisfaction would be to such an extent that you would not you would not like to eat anything more. So it's a very good remedy even to lose weight. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. It's a beautiful practice if you want to lose weight, mindful eating. Again, what are you doing? You are just signaling to the brain, relax, be still, be still, be still. Now, what are the self awareness is one thing through which the mindfulness leads us to become self aware. It leads us to become empathetic. It leads us to communicate better, and it leads us to build trust. And these four items, that is self awareness, empathy, communication, and trust, are the four pillars on which relational quotient stands. Self awareness. Now, let me give you a formula, which is created by me, which I have been using for a number of years, which I have shared with thousands of people, and which is producing brilliant results. It is called AOPA. The first A stands for attention management. Then the O stands for observation. Then the P stands for pause. And then the A stands for acceptance. Attention management, I've already discussed. Now let's come to observation. When I say observation, what comes to your mind? Obviously, seeing things what are outside you. But what I mean is, yes, that is very essential for you to see what's outside you, but it's equally important to observe what is happening inside you. Why? Have you ever observed that when you get angry, before you yell or you express your anger, or the anger manifests in the physical domain, there is some change inside your body? Similarly, when you are very happy, initially it starts with a change. You don't like someone, the person is coming to you, towards you. You see the person's face. Something happens inside you. Why does it happen? Because our emotions, our memories are instrumental in deciding how do we react to a particular situation, how do we communicate in a particular situation, and how do we plan in a particular situation. Now, and so from the external, your mind gets the information, it goes to your amygdala, the emotional brain. The emotional brain knows only three things: fight, flight, or freeze. Since it works on your past experiences, so it might draw something which happened to you 10 years back and issue instructions to your body to behave accordingly. Whereas the truth is, circumstances have changed, people have changed, everything has changed. What was applicable 10 years back is not applicable today. But there is a small gap between this reaction of the amygdala and its manifestation in the outer world. Like when you breathe in, breathe out, there's a small gap. Similarly, there's a small gap. There's a space between the stimulus and the reaction. When you start observing what's happening inside you, you learn to put your finger on that gap. And when you put your finger on that gap, what happens? Amygdala hands over the charge to the prefrontal cortex. Because when you have said, oh, I'm getting irritated, prefrontal cortex gets over and amygdala's job is done. So once you start observing what's happening inside you, you can change your external behavior by putting your finger on the gap between the stimulus and the reaction. And I'm sure who are into spirituality, mysticism, they must have read and heard that people say, or the saints have said, and the learned have said, and the wise have said, that try to be in the space between the in breath and the out breath. If I tell you to breathe constantly without a gap, like you will not be in a position to breathe more than a minute, 100, or 1 minute, 30 seconds, max 2 minutes, because the human mechanism is such that when you breathe in, oxygen goes in and the body requires time to absorb that oxygen. So when you are rushing through things, that oxygen is not being absorbed. And when it's not being absorbed, it's tiring you. And what is that oxygen which is required? Is awareness, which comes from observing what is happening inside you. So this is the O part. And once you start practicing, you'll have to be mindful. And once you start practicing, you will find that automatically things will start changing. The third alphabet is P, pause. I talked of the space, that pause in observation. Now, over here, I'm talking of the importance of that pause, though I've explained it. Now, pause is very essential. You've got to learn to pause. Have you ever seen the successful people who have made it to the top? Probably you and I, when someone comes to us with a problem, even before the man or the woman has, completed narrating his or her problem, we are ready to give a solution. And sometimes our solutions are totally wrong because we have not heard the person totally. But if you see the rich, you see the famous, you see people who have. Now, rich is a consequence, when you're successful. Richness is a consequence. Have you ever observed, or if you have not observed, observe them now. You tell them something, they will listen to you with total intent and then pause for a moment, allow their brain to reflect, and then they will speak. Observe a prime minister. He doesn't cut anyone in between. He allows them to speak. And then, after a few seconds, uh, Manish, anything? Manish, can you go on mute, please? Millie, yeah. Can you please? Okay. Millie Day, can you please be on mute? Uh, yeah. So I was telling you, they allow time for the brain to grasp and then they react. Look at our prime minister, he does the same. I've seen a lot of people. You go to them, they will look at you like this, listen to every word, and then probably look somewhere else, or they're allowing their brain to absorb, and then they're reacting. So that is the pause. That is the power of pause. If from a page I remove the space between the words, what would happen? It would become a long string of alphabets. It'll be extremely, extremely difficult to read. The meaningful page would become meaningless. And now, the moment I bring the space back between the words, between the alphabets, the meaningless becomes meaningful. So, practicing pause is very, very essential. And the last is acceptance. How do you accept reality? I remember a case, when I was in 10th, my friend who was a very average student, extremely average, his mother used to say, my son is going to top, is my son is going to score so many marks. Now, obviously, the son did not score those number of marks. If the mother was saying 80%, the son scored 50%. So as we were children that time, class 10th. So we would just to tease the mother, we say, Auntie, what are the marks? She would say, you know what had happened that day? He had fever. Therefore, he could not take the paper properly. So what was she doing? Rather than accepting reality that her son has got average intelligence, does not study the amount he needs to study, she was blaming some imaginary thing called fear. कि बुखार हो गया था उसको. The fact is, उसको बुखार नहीं था. He was playing cricket the other day. So what we do is, rather than getting to the core to find a solution, we accept reality with riders, with conditions, with explanations, justifications, and excuses. So what happens? Our attention shifts from the main event to unimportant event. Now, the example which I gave you was he scored low. Had the mother said, okay, my son is of average age, he has scored only 50% because he was playing cricket, then the brain automatically would have started thinking of ways and means how to help the child. But by mother, getting fever, had fever, which was a lie, was giving an excuse to the child not to do what he or she was supposed to do. So accepting reality as it is, without any riders, without any filters, without any uh, explanations or justifications, is very important. And the day you start doing that, yes, I failed, I failed. I am black, I'm black. I'm this, I'm this. I got angry, I got angry. Since our mind is hardwired not to be in pain, it automatically starts thinking how to take you out of the pain, and clarity develops. And once clarity develops, a new cycle starts. Okay, so this was the first thing about self awareness. Now, getting to the empathy part, how do you develop empathy? You develop empathy by having an open attitude, not meeting anyone with a preconceived notion. I know it's very difficult. All of us have preconceived notions about the other person. but we got to move beyond them. You got to give a chance to the other person. The other person might have changed, or the circumstances could have changed. And why is this, so important? The Japanese company did a beautiful experiment. Whenever an employee or a worker made a mistake, do you know what did the supervisor say? In the normal course, the supervisor would have shouted, had been angry, would have told him, I'll kick you out, etc., etc. What did the supervisor say? Thank you for helping us. Thank you for helping us to know where we need to improve. And what was the result? To err is human. Everyone makes mistakes. People started more careful. People started focusing on their job better because they got the psychological safety, like I was telling earlier, right? The psychological safety, because they got that psychological safety. If we make a mistake, we will not be shouted at. And in return, in gratitude, they started, the productivity went up because they started focusing much more. Because this supervisor converted a moment of shame of making a mistake to a moment of learning by making a mistake. Productivity rose because people felt respected, involved, relational intelligence started taking a now place, and the overall culture and the profits, everything changed. Now, what is the science behind empathy? You might have heard of mirror neurons. Now, empathy uses mirror neurons to stimulate others' emotion. Empathy uses mirror neurons to stimulate the emotions in the other person. Chronic stress disables them. That's why burnout kills empathy. Mindfulness revives it. Empathy is all about making the other person realize that I'm seeing, I'm feeling what you are feeling, I'm with you. Though it's got a few disadvantages also because of the mirror neurons. If you become too empathetic, the pain of the other person, you also start experiencing the pain. So, at a personal level, I'll say the best way to is compassion. Compassion is made of two things: empathy plus ambition to help. First, this desire to help is processed in a different part of the brain, empathy in a different part. So, what happens when you use compassion? You first, the brain processes the empathy part and then takes over. In this situation, how can I help? Compassion is equally applicable at home, in real personal relationships, professional relationships, in office, in production companies, everywhere, in hotels, everywhere. Because don't forget, at the end of the day, all of us are human beings and all of us react and act the same way. Okay, moving forward. Just give me a minute, please, my paper. How do you connect with the other person? Now, obviously, you connect with your heart, emotions. Listen to the words, what is being said, mindful listening. Pay attention, make the other person feel important. Now, look, I'm talking to you. Now, those of you who are watching me, just imagine if I was talking like this, would you feel connected? No. I'm looking into the camera, I'm looking into the screen. Though it's not the same as you feel when you are in front of each other, but still, some connection is happening. Listen to the tone. How is the other person saying? Because that is very important. Now, if I say this thing, hey, you got to listen to the words, you got to listen to the tone, and listen to the energy, you will not connect. So the tone has to be right, and you got to listen to it. And when you listen, you mimic that tone. Listen to the energy, which means listen to what I am not saying. Now, you could say that, look, uh, how can I listen to what is not said? Oral communication is a minuscule part of the overall communication. I'm sure there must have been a number of times in your life when you must have taken a liking or a disliking for someone without the other person even saying a single word. Why? Because your energy is connected. Okay, so just let me give you one more interesting fact. What is happening between us at the moment? You'll say communication. And how does communication happen? My mind is embedded in my body and it is extending outside my body and reaching to all of you through this webcast. Your mind is coming to me, though we cannot see it. Your minds and my mind, they are shaking hands somewhere in between because we are focusing our attentions on each other. And now, since that communication line has been established, you are sending your energy to me, I'm sending my energy to you, you are sending information to me, I'm sending information to you. And the moment either the connection or the energy or information snaps, our communication snaps. So, this is the reality of communication. It's all energy. So, listen to the energy. Though I can't see you, but yes, I am sure you can see me because you can see my beard, you can see my t shirt, you can see my specs, you can see that, okay, my hair are not out of place, you can see my smile, etc., etc., the photograph behind me, the evil's eye on my left. All these things are being processed by your mind and creating an image about me. Then the way I'm speaking, the way I'm sharing, that further refines the image. It's all imaginary. It's all imaginary. So when I meet you in person, you would have already framed the image of mine in your mind that Sandeep would be like this. And this image, which you have framed in your mind, would make you smile when you see my face, or make you frown when you see my face. So, okay, therefore, listen to the words, listen to the tone, listen to energy. But let me give you one thing more. A lot of people think that my intent was very good. My intent was perfect, but I didn't mean it. Well, that's all rubbish. Your intent might be anything, but you need to communicate your intent. And the people in the audience, who are married or in relationships, I'm sure they must be hearing this sentence from each other very. My intent was not this. My intent was not to hurt you. My intent was not this. Samjho na? No, it doesn't happen that way. So intent has to leave an impact on you, on the other person. Your intent has to impact the other person in a positive way. Only then communication would be complete. And this is very essential for relational for relational quotient as well as the clarity part. Now, let me give you a formula called STATE, STATE. If you want, you can note it down. Number one, share the facts. A lot of people don't share the facts, or they share the facts only which they believe are important or they want to share. No, share complete facts. Number one, tell your story after the facts in a positive way. Ask their views, ask the views of the other person. Now, tell your tell your story means what do you get out of the facts? Ask their opinion, their views. Talk tentatively, which means express or tell them that you are in a healthy discussion. You are open to receive criticism and encourage testing. Nothing is cast in stone. Everything has got a probability to fail. So when you and I, we are discussing, you or someone else are discussing, you or your spouse or your partner are discussing, share facts, S, share facts, T, tell your story, A, ask the other person's views, T, talk tentatively, not conclusively. And a lot of us, we talk conclusively. This is it. My way or highway. No, it doesn't work that way in relationships. And E, encourage testing. Be open. Now, again, encourage testing means it could be something very different than what you had proposed or thought. So you will have to let go of your ego and accept acceptance. I just talked of the acceptance earlier. Yes, it could be a better idea. Let's do it. Google is a great company for all these things. And this test state comes from Google. And when Google managers, they adopted state, they reported 35% lesser conflict. Why? Because words mean different things to different people. The same word would mean different things to different people. And it means. So, since you work on assumptions and presumptions, so you are assuming and moving ahead on what it means to you, and I'm doing it what it means to me. So, we are starting from a conflict situation rather than a common ground. And 25% faster resolution. Since you are starting from a common ground, so obviously conflict nahi hoga, there'll be lesser conflict, resolutions would be faster. Again, the reflection is think of a conversation that went wrong because of tone, timing, or texting. What could you have done differently using state. And last is trust. Trust is the currency of clarity. Now, Nadella, what he did in Microsoft, he shifted the attitude of Microsoft, which was a failing giant when he had taken over, from knowing it all to learn it all. The attitude was at that point of time, I know all, we are the best. There's nothing beyond us. He just changed the attitude of people. He did not do anything else. And Microsoft started growing because people started learning. And why were they resisting? Because somewhere in the back of their mind, they thought that they would be exposed in case the other person does not know, or the other person knows much more than them, and they do not know. So it was the insecurity which was making them adopt an approach or an attitude of know it all. And in official matters, what can you do? There are three C's: competence, consistency, and care. Can you deliver? Be honest. I can, I cannot. People who suggest something, are they walking the talk? A lot of people, they are armchair advisors, opinion givers. They come, sit down, give opinions, go away. They don't have practical experience. The point is, if you know someone has walked the path, consistency hai, the person is consistent, the trust develops. Sandeep has given this talk 50 times. Trust. Asha is giving it for the first time. Not so much trust. And lastly, care. Do I matter to you? Now, this is a very important thing. Had this thing been, uh, say, had today's webcast had been as a part of a, let us say, GST learning, my talk would not have mattered today. But this is a part of professional skill enhancement. It does matter. In the sciences, when you practice empathy, oxytocin is a hormone which is secreted inside people. It's called the bonding uh, hormone. It increases when we express appreciation. A single thank you can shift the brain chemistry towards collaboration. A simple thank you. So, folks, I have shared a lot with you. Now, let me give you another two things. Okay, one more tool and a story, and then I'll be open to questions. It is called the relationship audit. Okay. Number one, draw 5 people whom you believe are very close to you. Could be from your team, your peers, your family, and rate each of them on trust, communication, respect, and growth. When I say growth, I mean How happy are they if you grow? How happy will they be if you grow? How much they trust you, how much you trust them. Communication. How much they share with you, how much you share with them. Don't say everything. How much they share personal things where a person feels or has the fear of being judged or assessed. Respect. How much do they respect you? How much do you respect them? And growth. How much would you be happy in case they grow? And how much would the other person be happy when you grow? This is one. And the second is clarity lens. Clarity lens, yeah, 51. Okay. Ask in confusion. What are the facts? What are the assumptions? What's the fear which is making me assume and not accept the facts? And the third is the circle of clarity, things I can control, things I can influence, and things I cannot control. In the last, let me share a story, then I'll be open for questions. There were two monks. They were going, and they came to a river. So there was a girl, sitting over there and crying. So one of the monks said, "Why are you crying?" But she said, "Look, I don't know how to swim. My father is sick. I live on the other side of the river, and I don't know." So the younger monk picked her up, made her sit on his shoulder, crossed the river, put her down. And then they kept on walking towards the monastery. They reached the monastery after 3 days. The moment they entered the monastery, the elder monk ding tongue, 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 and called the head monk. He said, "Well, what's the urgency?" He said, "Look, we are forbidden to touch women, and this guy touched women." He said, "When? Where?" So the young monk said, "Look, 3 days back, there was a girl sitting on the bank of the river. I helped her to cross, and since she didn't know swimming, so this is what I did." You know what the chief monk said? "This guy didn't act and left it there, then and there, 3 days back. And Mr. Old Monk, you're carrying that girl on your shoulders for the last 3 days. So, friends, I'll say whatever you are carrying, whatever baggage is there, get it out, create space. That'll give you clarity, help you to improve relationships. It'll help you to be mindful. So, thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm open to questions.
So it was a very nice session, and especially how you connected everything, IQ, EQ, and RQ. It's very important nowadays. We have a couple of questions.
Yes.
First one is how to tackle groupism in office.
How to tackle groupism in office?
Someone asked this question.
Nee, fine, fine, fair enough. Just give me a minute. Huh? Yeah. Well, to cling to each other is human nature, right? And the second problem is we try to either fit into the group or we try to change the group.
Exactly.
If you try to change the group or fit into the group, as per me, both are suicidal. Both are suicidal. Because if you try to fit into the group, which means you are working against your core beliefs, core values, and you are trying to fit into something which you don't like, which you don't appreciate. So the only thing is to develop clarity. How important is it? What is troubling me? How much should I relate to them, not relate to them? Do I have an alternative? Okay. Now, you would say this is on the social front. Now, let's come to the working front. One manager has made a click. There are 20 people working, and he has five very favorite people, right? And these five believe that they are the right hand man or the blue eyed boys and girls of this manager, and they could do anything and everything. So, even if these five people make a mistake, the manager pats them on their back. And the other 15, they go with the best of ideas, they're rebuked. A very typical scene in a lot of offices. You see, you got, now it's a slightly difficult situation where you got to take care of your ego. Now, let me share one example with you. In between, though I've been in practice for 45 years, around 10, 12 years, I was also a senior VP with one of the multinationals. Okay. So a new department was created, which was an expense center. And the big man, the chairman, was very money centric person. So I had a small team working. Now, anything and every any person, who was contributing to the bottom line directly was the blue-eyed boy. He might be the most atrocious person, but that man or girl was the blue-eyed boy. How did I survive? And even after leaving, I was a consultant with them for 10 years. So this means I must have done something right. I told my team, look, you are handling corporate affairs, which also includes communication, internal, external communication. The human tendency is we put ourselves first and we want all the credit. I said, no, let's do one thing. Let's pass on all the credit to the HR team. You become indispensable to HR. You become indispensable to them. The other human tendency is to be lazy. If someone is doing my work, I'll be more than happy. I said, you start doing their work. Make them totally useless. And believe me, this is what we did and kept away from the politics. We kept adding value. And we got the highest raise for 3 years in that organization, my team.
Mm.
Because to protect themselves, to protect themselves, to survive, HR had no option but to support us. So this was a game of strategy, understanding human nature, clarity where we wanted to reach, developing the necessary relationships, and being mindful and proactive. But whoever has asked the question, I can promise you there is no ready-made answer for this. And this answer is not available on Amazon. You cannot order it. You will have to work for it.
Exactly. Sir, I have one question from my side. So we were talking a lot about compassion. Uh, how to differentiate between compassion and empathy?
Very simple. Empathy is all about feeling for you. Millie, I'm feeling. I can understand your feelings. I'm feeling for you. Millie is very happy. Someone is standing by my side. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what happens? Since in compassion, mirror neurons are working, the more I get absorbed in Millie's pain, more that pain is transferred to me. And a stage would come, and a stage comes when, at present, Millie and I are sitting opposite to each other. And when that stage comes, both of us sit on the same side and we wait for the third person to come in. This is the cycle of empathy, pure empathy. Okay. Now, the moment you get compassion, compassion is empathy plus ambition to help. Okay. So now, the moment I see you, meet you, and you tell me, I feel empathetic, I can feel your pain. And then I say, how can I help many to get out of this pain?
That's compassion.
Then a separate part of my brain takes over. And then I start working out solutions. Rather than crying with Millie, I start working on solutions. And to give you a practical example, the doctor. Have you ever observed minutely when you go to a doctor, how does the doctor treat you? When you enter the doctor's consulting room, he or she will be smiles. There are certain doctors. who don't smile, but by and large, they smile. They'll smile, look into your eyes, tell me, Millie, how have you been? What's your problem? And will give total attention. And that is the time you feel I got to pour out everything to this doctor. And you pour out. Then a time comes, the doctor pulls the shutter, disconnects from you, and starts writing the prescription. And then you say, Doctor, my shoulder was paining. The doctor would say, Doctor, I forgot to tell me one thing. Arey, hota hai, hota hai. Next time when you come, na, we'll talk about it. So that is called the principle of integration with disintegration.
Mm.
So you integrate, get the necessary information, then you disintegrate and give the solution. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you. So I don't think so. I have any other questions in the chat box. So may we conclude?
Sure.
Sure. Thanks a lot, sir, for such a good session. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful webcast on Lead with Clarity, Enhance Relational Intelligence through Mindful Practices, organized by the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee ICAI. On behalf of the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee ICAI, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speaker, C.A. Sandeep Gupta, for his enlightening session. Sincere thanks who enabled the webcast throughout. A wide round of applause and thanks to the organizers, Professional Skills Enrichment Committee ICI, our today's speaker, C.A. Sandeep Gupta, and other stakeholders who made this webcast a memorable one. Finally, we would like to thank all of you present here and helping us make this webcast a grand success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. And just one thing to people, hey, excuse me for my doing and drinking water. Bad Delhi pollution. The guys from Delhi would know that. And that impacts my throat. And this is the reason even words were slipping out in between. So, guys, excuse me for that. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thanks a lot.